Okay, a very good afternoon, a good morning, and of course a good evening to everyone listening. This is Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India, operating the worldwide net today. Just want to see if, yeah, looks like the audio is going through. We start off by saying a very great thank you to the Qatar Satellite Company for allowing us the opportunity to be on their satellite. We also wish to thank the BATC. We, of course, want to thank AMSAT DL and AMSAT UK, all organizations that have made this possible. Today, I've had Murphy knocking on this door like you haven't seen in a long time. This morning, I tried to get the stream going onto YouTube, and it looks like my HDMI converter has popped, or something's gone wrong. I'll have to try and sort it out. In the meantime, we're doing a real MacGyver. I'm streaming, or actually Uan, ZS1 SCI is streaming, but he's using my link. Almost by accident, we found that that works. So he's streaming from his end, but we going via my link. It's a bit of a MacGyver, as I said. But I hope the guys can see it on YouTube. I've just quickly checked, and it looked. There we go. ON4AHA. AAH. Thanks very much to see that's working. And hello to Adam. SB9ACQ. So great stuff. It's all working. But man, that was pulling a rabbit out of the hat here. Okay, well, let's just see who's on the link today. Let's see if I can read that. Okay, good, we can. Let me just make it bigger. Right, today we have to follow G8KOE. Martin, he's got fan grills, that sounds good. And then, hello, Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Incidentally, Ed, I sent you a WhatsApp just now. Perhaps when you get a bit of time, you can have a look. Just as a backup, in case something goes wrong, we must have a backup. And then Phil, hello to Phil, Video World War II Tani. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's Mike 0 Papa India Tango. Looking forward to that indeed. Last week was phenomenal. Mike G0MJW to take back from the rally. I hope it was a successful rally there. And then Mike U to Nick G4IMO. He just says hi. And then Nick to ZS1 Mike. Hello, Leon. And then to Dave of Mike 5 Tango X-Ray Juliet. And then all the way down to Michael, Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Radio. Audio, what else? Well, an audio expert with the BBC, I presume, for many years. A lot we can learn. So that's basically how we're going to run through the thing. So, Martin, if you don't mind, let me just get this microphone back now. Let me just see how that works. There we go, Martin, if you don't mind taking it, G8KOE from ZA6YI. From
working. Sure, you got it sound before we yeah, that's working. I put my blue Microsoft shirt on and just do it the way it's I think Mike is ATT blue on, but I thought I'd wear the Microsoft one. Yeah, Frank was really sort of there's probably not plans that cooling on my guy that sits in the garage. And I've always thought about fan wheels and such like that to put on the fans. It's looking like at the moment with a few more just that's not the long one. The long one It's I want the main thing. I want we need to get rid of me. I don't want me having half the it's just we'll get there in the end. That's the I've ordered the intake here and redirect the sense of um, the case because it's got two grills outside. And so I thought I'd redirect that to the centre where the PA is, which is not a good idea. So I'll give you a close idea. Why do you find with the couple do with the hand and it's blowing up the case this. I thought I'd get another one. That sort of highlights what it actually looks like. I've got other plans to a standby PA to go in that. The whole case was cheaper than probably what a heatsink would be, but I may do something slightly different on the cooling side. But that's working out quite well at the moment, and I've got it set up that the main extractor fan come pulling air in from the outside comes on as soon as a certain temperature reaches, which is 30 degrees. I've got it set to at the moment, I think, about that sort of area. So it's not on all the time when it's cool in the mornings, etc., or late at night. I don't need it. I think it's reasonably hot in the garage at the moment. Actually, the temperature of the PA is crept up to sort of 36, 37 at the moment. So perhaps I'm going to struggle even more during the summer. Anyway, that's really it. It's a cheat on fan grills, but if you're thinking of putting them on, put them on sooner rather than later. Because I thought, well, being it's right up high, I'm not going to put my hand up there anymore. I've finished the job, but amateurs being amateurs, you're always playing with something a bit more. Anyway, that's it. I'll pass it on round to Ed. Ed's next. Who's putting a good signal, and he corrected the fact that I put question marks on the dates at the beginning. Round to the Ed from G8KOE.
What have I been up to? I've been playing around with H.266, which I'll talk about later, which will probably, I don't know, about 5 minutes walking around it, filming it, etc., etc. Everything was great. Got home with it and put it on my OBS PC, and I never bothered to actually check it until yesterday. And when I did that, I realised I had filmed it in portrait, and it was useless. It needs to be in landscape. So I shall do that at the next opportunity. But as I said, I was going to show you a video. What I've got is a video that we run in the museum that probably the majority of you have not seen, and I think you will find it interesting. So I'm going to run this. It only runs for about, I don't know, it's about 4 minutes, something like that. So it's not too long. So let's run it and see what you think of it.
Radio transmitter, and it is broadcast. Because the message is encrypted, anybody receiving the radio signal will not be able to understand the message. At the far end, the radio receiver picks up the encrypted message and feeds it to another Lorenz machine. This decrypts the message and prints it on another teleprinter. For this to work, both Lorenz machines must have their wheel settings and start positions exactly the same. As there are trillions of combinations, guessing is just not good enough. Because the Germans used directional aerials for the radio transmissions, we often had great difficulty in getting a reliable signal. Atmospheric conditions played havoc with the radio signals. More than one radio receiver and aerial were often used in many cases on the basis that if one signal got too weak, another one may still be good enough. Electronic switches chose the strongest signal. Knockholt was the main centre for this work. This signal sounded a little like fast Morse code. The signal was then amplified and electronically processed, ready for the next stage. It was recorded on a machine called an undulator. A printed paper strip was the result of this process, and this was called slip. Girls read these tapes by eye and transcribed them to punched paper tape. Accuracy was vital, paired by eye. A printed copy was often made to analyse data. It looked for statistical bumps in the encrypted text. Several runs were made until a possible solution had been found. This is the tiny machine. It emulates a Lorenz SZ42. The cryptanalyst sets the machines to what is believed to be the suspected key, which is, by the way, 501 bits long.
Questions. But I forgot to mention Martin. That shirt you had, Martin. I'm sure that is blue screen blue. Definitely blue screen blue, as it's Microsoft. And as for the fan, well, yeah. Now you keep those fans running too long, I think it will freeze. And plus the fact it sounds as if it's a good bacon slicer as well. So it's yeah, might have some other uses. Anyhow, that's enough of me waffling. I'm going to hand it back to Ed because he missed his turn, and if Ed doesn't come on, then I suppose it's Mike to pick it up. So I'm going to put the old test card up if I can find it. Where's the test card? It's test card. Bang. So that's my test card. Right. So let's see if Ed can get his audio.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon. Good evening. Thank you to give me another chance, Phil. That's the price we pay for not pre-testing before going to the transmission. It's on pre-testing, but with it's
I think the thing is there are two things got to remember here. One is the thickness of what it is, and the other is how good thermal contact. 57 to 2 or 3 kilowatts. So very useful for DMOS power amplifiers. But I need to get some new PCBs and way to get an interface between them. But I think you'd have to bolt it down, and the advantage of the copper is it does at least hold the thing down. In fact, if you were to use solder and copper and mount the whole thing upside down, then if it gets too hot, the transistor will just drop off and protect itself. Right, onto the bench. If I can find the camera. There we go. Quite a few things knocking around in there. One is the PCB. Let me just see if I can turn on the zoom so I can configure video, camera control. There we go. Right, so that purple PCB turned up from JLC yesterday. Actually, it only took a little bit over 10 days or so to come, and if I pan over, you'll see that it's now, the Bluetooth modules are no longer sitting on a perf board, but they're actually working. Now, the reason you can't see anything there is because the radio, the IC705, was switched off. But if I turn it on, you never know. In a few seconds, it'll tell you what it's tuned to. I'll turn it off again because it's making a noise. But that works, and that's 2 or 3 meters away. So all good there. So now I've got to work out what to do with the other 4 boards. But let's carry on with the things from the rally. At the bottom, right at the bottom, oops, being hidden by my trademark, is a, let's see if I can pan it a little bit further over. No, I can't. Anyway, the thing with 4 N-type connectors on it, was purchased because it had 4 N-type connectors on it. Unfortunately, it appears to be potted, whatever it is, so it's going to be a challenge to get those out. But I'll have a go with a blowtorch later, because I suspect they're soldered in and then potted, so they will come out. I think it's just a coupler or a splitter, but we'll wait and see. Right. Right, you can see I'm focusing on a module here. This was very, very cheap as well. Actually, it was £8, so it was not that cheap, but seemed a reasonable deal. That is one of the EME Kit's amplifiers, which is a 7-watt device, and that's just about the right level, 2 or 3 watts, to drive those pallets that we got. If anyone remembers the NEC pallets. So that's what that's for. The other thing is that LilyGo appeared, so Michael will be talking about the software he's writing for that. My screen is slightly smaller than the one that he has, but hopefully that won't be a major issue. But it seems quite a capable device. It detected my Wi-Fi. I haven't done anything about connecting to it. But there you go. And right at the top is just a box containing my Caribou light, and the reason for mentioning that is finally there's some more software for the Caribou light around. So that means that it might actually start being useful. So we'll wait and see. Right, having waffled on quite a while about the rally, I think that's probably enough. I'm not sure if there's enough to say next time, so come back to a picture of me and pass it on. And let me just check. It is Nick, G4 IMO. So round to you, Nick, G0 MJW.
Oh, my humble apologies there. Don't know what happened there. Something it just wouldn't come on. Anyway, make sure I've got some audio. Yeah, there's audio there. Anyway, we're there. Anyway, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for letting me in there. And yeah, it's very warm here. It's a lovely sunny day, as was yesterday. So looks like summer's finally arriving. Anyway, I'll go down to this. I haven't got much to report, by the way, so I'll just waffle on for a little while. Yeah, Martin, the fans. Yeah, I need to put some more fans on my PA. It's one of the G7 NTG amplifiers that he supplies, and it's only got one fan on it, which is sort of sitting on the top of the heatsink, which blows air vertically onto the heatsink. So I was thinking of adding a fan on the end of the heatsink to blow air through the heatsink. But anyway, I need to sort out. But there is a bit of a problem here in the summer because the PA's outside, and it does get very hot. So, anyway, it survived last summer. So, but I think it'd be nice to add some more fans on there. Ed, yeah, okay, on the various materials there. That's for the heat sinks and things. yeah, sort of very interesting. I was surprised that the efficiency of aluminium isn't very good, is it? So I think from a economical point of view, if you're going to make a PA, if you're going to use a spreader, and aluminium isn't a very good idea. But one made out of copper would probably be superior performance, I would think. That's very good. Yeah, Phil, thanks for that video. Very interesting. I saw an AR88 there, receiver. I used to have one of those. I used to leak oil. The capacitors used to leak on those, but I've sold that. I don't have that anymore. But yeah, that was a nice receiver. And those, yeah, I remember in the flight planning office at the airport, they used to type out the various information on a typewriter, and that used to produce a paper tape, and they used to put that into the tape reader to send off the information. But that was all scrapped in about in the 1990s, and that was all updated to a computerized system. But presumably that encryption key, presumably, unlike modern scrambling systems now, presumably the key is changing, isn't it, all the time? But presumably in the 1940s, that key wasn't altering, wasn't. So once you found the key and it was set, obviously the information was unscrambled until they changed it. But anyway, it's all rather interesting stuff. Yeah, the rally. Yeah, I didn't manage to get to the rally. It's quite a long way from here, actually. I used to go to that Luton rally, but my next rally is the one at Spalding, which I think is June the 10th, which is on a Sunday. So that'll be my next one. So see if we can find something there. And yeah, okay, on the power supplies, you didn't say how much they were. I need to get another power supply as a standby here, because I've only got one, because the PA is 32 volts. So I need to get hold of another one. Maybe there'll be some. My first FM repeater on 50.74, which is GB3UM, which is just northwest of Leicester. So that's the first repeater I've ever heard on 6 meters. So anyway, but it's nice that the sporadic E season is eventually starting. It's very late this year. But, anyway, we'll see what happens. The other thing was, yeah, following on from my birthday celebrations last Sunday, I was presented with a piece of vinyl, an LP. That was the LP. That's a Shadows. And that particular vinyl LP, I was amazed. I don't know whether the cost of vinyl has shot up in price, but I looked on Amazon just out of interest to see how much it was, and that LP is that's currently selling at £34, which is a lot of money, isn't it? And it's only got 12 tracks on it, 6 on each side. But I connected up my turntable, and it was nice to listen to some vinyl which is uncompressed, unlike the modern MP3 stuff, you know, the CDs, which are so heavily compressed now. But it was nice to hear some old vinyl. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm waffling on here. I haven't got much else to say, but I will stay until the end. Anyway, round to Leon. ZS1, Mike, G4IMO.
Okay, thanks, Nick. G4IMO and the group ZS1, Mike. So, good afternoon to everybody. I think we're all more or less in the same time zone except Ed. So, good morning to you there, Ed. Yes, okay, all very interesting. Martin G8KOE. That super cooling you've got there, good heavens, is it necessary for 5 fans? What do you have inside that box? It's cold here today. It was raining earlier and it's chilly. I nearly thought I was not going to get on the air when I pressed my remote to switch on the PA outside in the workshop. The earth leakage tripped here, and I tried it several times. So I thought, no, something is wrong. And I went outside, and I have an extra lead running into the house so that I can plug it into the UPS when we have load shedding. Anyway, I just plugged it straight into the switchboard outside, and it's working fine. So I don't know what was causing it. Maybe one of the multi-plugs here is not making good contact or something. The earth leakage is very sensitive. Anyway, so we finally did get onto the air in time. Right. Yes, Martin, I just have 2 fans blowing straight onto my heat sinks. And that seems to do it for me on both my homemade amplifier, which is the one I always use, and I have the exactly same setup on my Saro amplifier, those ones that we got from India, from Saro, which is much less efficient. They dissipate more heat, definitely, for the same RF output, but even that runs quite cool. So I'm happy with 2 good fans. Right, yeah, Nick, that vinyl, yes, they've skyrocketed the price of vinyl. If you can get it, you can now if you try hard enough. But it's frightfully expensive. Yes, I wouldn't buy one today. Okay, right, yeah, my order is a bit demakaar here. Ed, your heatsink coupling theories, it's very interesting. I never knew that silver's got a better thermal conductivity. I know it's the best electrical conductivity, but I never knew that silver's also the best thermal conductive element. Yeah, I agree with Mike. I'm a bit concerned about the adhesive on that copper tape, whether that's not going to spoil your whole thing there. I also still believe that if you can solder the thing down, it is the best, because it's a microscopic thin layer of solder that you have between the LDMOS and the copper heat spreader. But anyway, tell us what it does. Right, Phil, that was an excellent video that you showed there. It was very nice. I always like watching these old things, how they used to do it and so on. Yeah, that was really nice, and we're also looking forward to seeing your one of Colossus there when you actually get down to taking it in. Yes, there's something funny with your audio, Phil. I don't know whether you're using a noise gate, but it sounds like there's a little bit of sand in my speaker. Just fine sand, bzz, 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 which is not on the other people. So I don't know what you're doing, and it sounds deathly quiet when you're not talking. So Right. Mike, yeah, he's got the power supply bargains there. Yeah. I wish I had something like that. I'm using 3 power supplies in series to run this amplifier. I've got two 12 volts, which gives me 24, and then I've got another one which I've turned down to something to end up with 32 volts or whatever this thing needs. Right, I did show it last week, but Michael, you were not there, so this I brought from Bredasdorp especially for you to show you. This is what we used in the South African Broadcasting Corporation. This is Ernest Turner PPMs. This one as you know, most studio stuff is 24 volts, so I've got a little lithium ion battery in here with one of those DC to DC converters to give me 24 volts. It's got two PC boards, one on top of the other, this Ernest Turner PPM. We use them all over the place, in all the studios and stuff in the SABC. I have another one in a box with 2 of them, you know, side by side for stereo. I made this one as a little handheld. I had a portable radio, small portable radio. When I went down to the studio of the local radio station that I started there, to set up the deviation there, because my deviation meter is a mains operated thing and it's a bit big. So I calibrated this on my main machine, and then I used this as a portable setup. I actually want to connect this to a portable AM receiver now for setting up the modulation on the aircraft, because my word, they're all over the place. Some of the guys are over modulated, especially the glider guys are completely under modulated, because they use a boom microphone and they just talk, you know, they don't care whether they're close to the mic or not, so it's terrible. I want to bring some standards in there as well. Now, yes, Michael, I agree with you. It's very important to have decent audio levels. It's not so easy here. You can't do anything on the transmit side, or at least you can't get an indication. You have to go all the way through your receiver, and then say, for instance, where a mini tune starts up with the audio level slider in the middle, and say, okay, that's my reference, and then calibrate the meter like this, turn it up until you see it's clipping, you know, check it with a scope and bring it a couple of notches down and say, okay, that is 100%. That would be ideal. To do something like that, because as you say, what goes on OBS, those little bar graph things there, it depends on where you've set the computer's sound card stuff, and there's a lot of variables in the line, so it's not so straightforward. But yes, one should have a decent level standard whenever you're working with audio. I absolutely agree. Right, I must give it to Dave, M5 TXJ, for the group from ZS1 Mike.
I'm working, and hopefully I've got sound. Yep, I've got sound. Afternoon, everybody. Nice to be back. I've missed getting on the net, but my trip to Malta was definitely needed. And last week, unfortunately, I was on a day shift. 09:30, 21:30 Sunday shift isn't very pleasant. Yeah, I've been busy this morning, not radio-wise. I've got a kit car which is based on a British Leyland Mini, a real Mini, not a small German car. It's great. Get your hands dirty. This morning I took the lay shaft out of the gearbox so that I could remove the oil strainer. I'm going to fit a centre oil pickup, as the oil pickup is at one end of the gearbox, and if you drive spiritedly, shall we say, yeah, the oil can slosh from one end to the other and you get oil starvation. So I'm fitting a centre oil pickup. Yeah, I've done a little bit of radio. I've added a relay into my ports down. Front panel control with just a momentary switch, so I can switch the output of the band selectors that would go into the Pluto, so it'll also switch to a socket on the back panel to feed a mini tuner. So I've been doing that, and I've also done a bit of diagnostic work on a PA I've been building for 4 meters. Let me see if I can show you. I found a problem. One moment please, as they say. Right, why are we not going over to that camera? There we go. Right, so it's a normal brick, and it feeds out of the brick into a low pass filter and then along to a sampling line which feeds off to a meter just as a forward power detector. But I discovered I've built the sampling line the wrong way around. It's actually picking up reflected power. So yeah, that's something to sort out. And I've got a cheap keypad, number pad. Cost me about £5, but with some software called HID macros, you can use it to change your OBS like a stream pad, and it works really well. I did have quite a bit of problems setting it up. You use some software called Noob's Commander to make the macros, and that works really well, but it wouldn't connect to OBS. And the reason is that from OBS version 28, OBS WebSocket uses IPv6 and Noob's Commander only uses IPv4. So you install an OBS legacy WebSocket version 4.9 and it all then just works. It's brilliant. So I've got the facilities of a Stream Deck for a £5, and if anyone fancies having a go, give me a shout and I'll try to talk you through it. In other news, I've heard that our new internet supplier is starting the install week after next in the area, so within a few weeks hopefully we should have reasonable internet access. I say reasonable. Oh, here comes the wife. Oh, a cup of tea. Thank you, Mrs. Yeah. Yeah, going to have instead of 15 megabits down and 1 megabit up, we're going to have a gigabit both ways. So that will be good. Ed, that PA, that looks ideal for 10 meter DATV. Yeah, I wonder if you'd thought of that. Phil, loved the video from Bletchley. I think I actually watched it when I was at Bletchley, which is definitely worth a visit to anyone in the area. Yeah, really enjoyed our day at Bletchley. Where are we at next? Nick, vinyl, yes. I don't know if you noticed, cassettes are also making a comeback. Yeah, I used to talk to Tony and Ann Dolby on 20 meters most mornings, but I haven't heard them for a long time. Mind you, I've been more on higher bands and doing this sort of thing recently. But I had a big argument with somebody at work about DAB, and they said that DAB was better than FM. So I had to explain to them about Nyquist sampling and then decimation. For those who haven't looked into DAB, the first thing they do is sample at Nyquist, which is pretty standard digital to analog to digital conversion. But then they decimate. Literally, they take one sample, throw 9 away, take another sample, throw another 9 away. They take a tenth of the information and rely on your ears to fill in the gaps, as it were. Shocking. But there's no background noise, so people think it's better. Yeah, where are we at now? Yeah, I'm using my normal whiteboard marker on my desktop. Yeah, Leon, that meter looks good. I'm sure Michael will be telling us all about his ppm meter, which looks excellent. I saw it the other night. But Dave G8GKQ was very interested because he thinks it may be possible to connect it up to a ports down, because there is digital audio floating around inside the ports down, of course. So yeah, that could be interesting. It's one of my bugbears. I'd like to know what my audio level is. I know people can hear me, but am I too loud? Am I too quiet? Am I not too bad? Am I distorting? I don't know. I'd like to get it right. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'd rather not have people grumbling at me. So I think that's about covered everything on my desktop here, and I can move over now to my cup of tea. Right, so it's round 2. Michael, EA7KIR from M5TXJ. And nice to be back, folks.
One, two, three, four, five. I think I'm there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we're there. Okay, good. You have to do that, don't you? Even though you know it's going to work. Sometimes. Sometimes, yes, sometimes. I mean, this is really strange, Nick. Because, as you know, 2 weeks ago, I couldn't receive you at all. Apparently everybody else could. And then we went to Madrid for a holiday, so I haven't done anything. And I was a bit worried about what would happen today. And I was very pleased to see that I wasn't following you, or, you know, otherwise I wouldn't, you know what I mean. But it works. And I haven't changed anything. And I see you put on the chat that you haven't changed anything. So what's changed? You tell me, I don't know. As I always say, computers are not particularly rational. They're very irrational. They do what they want sometimes. I'm convinced of it. They have a little brain inside that, you know, they're called bugs. But your Shadows record, yes, love it. I don't have a turntable, but I did go in a record shop, one of the old kind of record shops whilst in Madrid. And it was just like walking back into the 1950s, 1960s. You know, there was somebody at the end with headphones on. They didn't have little booths that you stood in, but they sold nothing but vinyl in there. Absolutely incredible. So moving on to sound, I think it was you, Nick, that mentioned everything is over-compressed these days, all these MP things, whatever it is. And yes, I absolutely agree with you. I've talked about this before. It's called the loudness war, and it still goes on with the music industry. It is settling down a little bit with some artists, but the majority still want to max everything out. And it's utterly pointless because the channels that you listen to this stuff on, you know, Spotify and so on, they just bring it back down again. So it's pointless. But what you do lose, of course, is the transparency, the dynamic range. And I watched a video the other day on YouTube. It just caught my eye. and it was about this all singing, all dancing compressor limited, and it's got more knobs and switches on than I've ever seen in my life. So they've got 3 of these on the dual channel, by the way, so 3 means 6. They've got 3 of these things in a recording studio, and they're demonstrating how wonderful it is. And what are they recording? They're recording 1 piano and 1 man singing. That's it. So he's got 3 microphones out, 2 for the piano, 1 for the guy to sing. And he's managing to use all 6 compressor limiters on this. I am utterly lost for words. But people buy into this. That's the sad part about it. Anyhow, what else can I mention? Mike, pleased to see you've got the Lily Pro. I look forward to hearing what you think when you download my software. The software for the PPM, everybody, is now on GitHub. In fact, I've just put a link on the chat. It's beta. It works. It works. But you know, if you feel like having a look at it, and you know, send me an email. But you'll find my email on QO-100. What else? Leon, those are not PPMs, darling. They are VU meters. Sorry about that, but they are VU meters. Look at the meter scale. Look at the meter scale. That is not a PPM. It's showing 50% halfway in the middle. dBs on this side, and God knows how much on the other side. That is a VU meter. A very expensive one though. Ernest Turner made the best meters at the time. They were the only people making the BBC PPMs at the time, and you can't get those now for love nor money. They don't make them anymore. In fact, nobody makes a fully specified mechanical movement for a PPM anymore to the full specification. Nobody does, because it's a very tight specification. You do get the odd thing popping up on eBay, of course, but I've built this thing. I'll just switch my other little camera on. It's going to be a wobbly cam, I'm afraid. Here we go. Where are we? Yeah, I had it on a tripod the other night, but today I couldn't be bothered. Okay, so I'm using this card, which is a analog to digital converter. You put analog stereo, put analog in, and it puts I2S out, and it goes into this Lily Pro thing. Okay, this Lily Pro thing. Now I need to build a preamp for this because it's not sensitive enough for the analog to digital converter. It's not sensitive enough for what I want to feed it from. I need to about 10 dBs a gain or something. So I'm feeding it from this, back to the camera. It's a function generator. So on channel 1, we've just got a steady tone, 1 kC, and I'm putting out 980 millivolts peak to peak, and that'll make the PPM read 7. And on channel 2, I've got a burst. That's 10 cycles of 1 kC, which equals 10 milliseconds, and it's repeated every 3 seconds. Okay, so this enables you to look at the ballistics. So back over here, if I switch on the channel 1, okay, that goes up to 7. Okay, off. Nice slow decay time, and back up to 7. So that's the calibration. Okay, now if I put the burst, where are we? There you go. I'll try and hold it steady. It's supposed to be going up to 7 minus 2 dBs. So that's halfway between 6 and 7. That's the specification for a 10 millisecond attack time, right? And the decay time is supposed to be 2.8 seconds over 24 dBs. So it decays 24 dBs in 2.8 seconds, which is from 7 down to 1. And it's pretty close at the moment. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. It's a bit difficult to see it, but it's just numbers. So I can change that. So it's working, folks. It's actually working. And as I say, I've put it on GitHub, and if you feel that way inclined, you'll need to buy one of these Lily Pro things. Get the cheapest one there is. I put details in the README file. Get the cheapest one there is, which is about €7 or something. And don't get, whatever you do, don't get the touchscreen one, because it won't work with that. Because touchscreen requires DMA, and so does the I2C, and there's only one DMA buffer apparently. If you understand that, I don't. But anyway, it works. So what else can we talk about? Ernest Turner, blah blah blah. Dave, the Mini. That brings back memories. I used to like Minis. I've had a few actually in the day. In fact, I used to do road rallies in one. It was a brand new Mini, not the Cooper, but it was, you know, the next one down. And then I got interested in rally driving, road rallies. This was to start with, and I had the engine board out and put a roll cage in and go faster stripes and new different carburetor and brake pads and tyres and all that stuff. Full harness seat belts and proper seats, rally seats and all that, you know. That was fun, because that didn't last forever. They banned it. They considered it was too dangerous to the public. Not that there's many people walking around country lanes at 3 o'clock in the morning. I never saw anybody, but anyhow, they banned it. So that was fun. I later did some international rallies in a Group 4 Ford RAC rally twice, Scottish, Burma, a few things. Didn't win anything. So I think that's about it. But I'm absolutely with you, Leon. I mean, I'm glad you're with me, and I am delighted that there is interest in getting the audio right amongst our community, because I get fed up of having to adjust the volume when we go from one person to another. It's quite annoying, actually. Maybe it doesn't bother everyone, but as a sound engineer, it really bothers me. And I agree with you about noise gating as well. When people stop talking during their conversation with us for longer than a few seconds, I think we've lost the sound, and I start, oh my God, what's going on here? And until they start speaking again, because it goes absolutely silent. It's good to have a little bit of background noise there. Keeps the line open, as you say. So that's it from me. I think we're back to Gary now. I'll just check the list in case it's updated. I think it'll be the same. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it's the same. It's back to Gary. So from EA7KIR net over to Gary ZS6YI. 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 Sometimes I have trouble shutting this down, so I'll just switch it off.
Okay, Michael, very good. Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Radio, ZS6YI returning. Well, I was so pleased to see what you're using as a function generator, because believe this or not, on Friday afternoon, this arrived. Just get it. It's the 1062, can go to 60 megahertz. Virtually the same one you've got. That was just a brochure. Let's see if this thing can... Yeah, it's focused. There we go. So I haven't even switched it on. I shall be doing that in due course for sure. I just want to thank Uhan for helping us with the streaming. there's been a lot of problems with the audio and the keyframe frequency, but I'm sure I'll have my station back running next week, I hope. It's a little HDMI converter which has packed up but seems to have a short, but I must do some more measurements after this net. Okay, I just want to thank everyone for coming up on frequency tonight or today. I'm going to excuse myself if you don't mind. I need to go and do something else quickly. So I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody and have a lovely week. It's been a very nice and fascinating presentation. Again, as usual, the Bletchley Park stuff, fascinating indeed. That was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed that. And so thanks very, very much for that indeed there, Phil. That was excellent. Michael, EA7KIR, I agree with you on the audio. It does sound a bit artificial if it's locked off, although I've got a very, very quiet shack. And I don't have fans like King of England has, which can chop his fingers off. I've got a chiller unit outside, and so I run silicon pipes with chilled water onto the amplifier, so it never gets hot. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it back to the King of England, Martin, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to say 7-3. So let the net continue that way. G8KOE from ZA6YI. 7-3 all from ZA6.
Okay, I think I've got it. I think the probably sound. The meters should start moving in a minute, hopefully. Yep. They're just sitting, picking up off the receive side of things, so it's delayed. And yeah, I know it's in the red, but that's all I've used. What I was trying to get Tom to do was to include some indication in on one of his receive programs, so at least you've got a standard or somewhere you could go and just get a reference. My main interest would be to get everybody at a roughly right level. One could get an exact level would be even better, but yeah, my limited side of things with sound and lighting was just with both mixing desks, etc. Soundcraft and things like that sort of era. I didn't get involved in the broadcast side of the company I worked for, which is MBI Broadcast Systems. But yeah, which had a lot of bits and pieces in the BBC. As Mel Bowden, which was the director of the company, managing director, used to get on well with the BBC. Mainly because of his connections with offshore radio, as we say. Right, what else can I add? Fans, yeah, I've got lots of fans. It's the only fans I've got. It's probably an overkill in some respects, but I think during the summer it's going to get hot. I don't know quite how bad the garage is going to get, but I suppose I could open up the window and the front of the garage and let the air blow through, so probably could cool it down. But yeah, that meter looked interesting. I might look into it, see how that progresses on, whether there is a standard that is adopted. That's all it really wants, I think, is one place you can go and go. I'll test my so whether it was I know with another network we had similar sort of problems with and we put an online indicating meter which you could go and look at what your signal is and look at it played back and see a level. This was only just FM, so wasn't a major sort of problem in that respect. But it did bring people down to a common sort of level. Anyway, there's a lot of waffle from me. Thank you, Gary, for being the best pictures in the world I've seen. The camera absolutely working well. Yeah, that second class picture from North Wales is not on this week. But I will probably catch him during the week and be able to mention it to him. He knows I'm winding him up. Right. Now, I'll give you plenty of warning there, Ed. Is your microphone working? And, I had problems because when you came on, I thought he's got no sound, but I turned the audio down on the particular receiver I was doing, so there was nothing wrong with you. Anyway, right, back to you there, Ed, and interesting on the heat sinking and that. Yeah, it's all a minefield of what you can, whatever you do, someone else will say you should have done it this way. Over to you there, Ed. I'll put a cool test card and throw it to you from G8KOE, and good to see everybody on the net.
Yep, just a little provocation for Martin and what Phil had mentioned about your Microsoft T-shirt. Very good. I decreased a little bit my audio since I think it was too high. I have no idea why you can see my Windows desktop. So I just sent an image about Linux, and you know, I'm whistleblowing myself, telling that I'm using Windows. But what can we do? Okay. Yes, Martin. Lots of fans. So you have lots of fans. They should make the G8 QOE fan club, because you have lots of fans. I do have lots of fans here in the shack too. All right. For Mike, okay, QSL Mike, about the thermal. Yeah, I do have some options here. I even have a liquid metal. They never say what is this liquid metal. They sell as a liquid metal, but to my knowledge, the only metal which is liquid at ambient temperature is mercury. Is that correct? You call it in English? Well, I don't know. But anyways, let's see what happens with this copper tape. Nick, nice birthday present you got there. Very nice. Yeah, like you said, it's uncompressed, and that's the real thing. Those long plays, very, very nice. Congratulations for that. Leon, I tend to agree with Michael. For me, that's a nice box with a view, but not for his reasons. It's because I have no idea what this is for. You said a ppm meter. What does it do? I mean, ppm, you measure TCXO stability or something? Because I know that TSXO we measure in I think ppm, yeah, or ppb. But anyways, I don't know what this is for. I confess my ignorance. I don't know. Dave, I saw your keypad there, your external numerical keypad. I saw actually yesterday you post on the WhatsApp group. I thought that fantastic, real nice. It gives like a professional stuff, your transitions, just pressing a key. Very, very nice. Regarding this amplifier, uh, the coupler that you are using, that it's not measuring correctly forward and reversed power. I saw some post these days. I don't know exactly what is the project that you use it, if it's on your own project or you use it the project from someone. The guy there had similar problem that you mentioned, and the other guy answered that there is some inverted capacitor that should be than the original project, so it should be reversed. Um, I will see if I can find this post. I can share on the WhatsApp group for you, because as you show on the camera, it looks very similar, except for the low pass filter. Okay, and Michael, yeah, noise cancellation or noise gate. I remember the time that the digital transformation was growing. We used to work with lots of TDM multiplexings, Newbridge, IDNXs, and there was a feature when you implement a voice channel on those digital multiplexers, which is called noise comfort. Yeah, actually, it would generate a very low noise just to keep the comfort. Yeah, that was the name of the feature, noise comfort. So that's interesting. All right, then. Thank you all for joining the net. Nice to see you all. Very interesting, and hope to see you all next weekend. 73 to all. Now to Mike Golf Zero, Mike Juliet Whiskey from Papa Yankee 2, Romeo November 73.
Thank you, Ed, and 73 as well. Another interesting net. So a lot happening. I don't have much to add, and I notice it's already 20 past 4, so I'd better pass it on to Nick. Incidentally, so that's something. Not sure what use it is yet, but we'll wait and see. That's the thing about bargains, isn't it? You never know if they're going to be any use or not. Right. So G4 IMO. Very, very quick over. G0 MJW. 7-3 all. Have a good week.
Yeah, okay, Mike. Yeah, I'll turn that down there. Yeah, it worked this time. I don't know why it didn't come on last time. Very strange. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Mike. I looked at the inflation calculator, but unfortunately, I had to use another calculation before that because I remember buying some 45s for 6 shillings and 8 pence. Anyway, I managed to convert that. But the trouble is that calculator that you put on there, you could enter £1, but you can't enter anything. You can't enter anything less. Like I wanted to enter 0.35, but you can't. So anyway, I entered £1. And then the final figure I divided by 3, so I mean that's near enough. And so those 6 shillings and 8 pence. Oh, that's the ice cream man just turned up outside. I can hear some music. Yeah, so they work out about £4.26p in 2023, as opposed to 6 shillings and 8 pence in 1970. So anyway, all very interesting. Yeah, Leon. Yeah, I agree with what you said about the aircraft there, all the levels. When I was at Southend, there was 3 flying clubs there, and on a weekend that they're all flying they're all flying circuits, all doing circuits, and there's one particular aircraft which is a Cherokee 140. That was Victor Kilo, used to belong to Southend Light Aviation Centre, and that was like 200% overmodulated. But I think that the problem is that these private pilots, they like to have their own personal headsets. So when they hop in the plane and they plug in their own headset, they aren't necessarily compatible with that particular radio. So and that's why sometimes they're very low volume and sometimes they're overmodulated. So anyway, yes, those were the days. Yeah, oh yeah, Michael. Yeah, the ppm meter looks very nice. I think the programming for that is well beyond me. Anyway, yes, but I think some sort of a level indication is ideal. I don't know what my audio's like. I think my audio level is lower than anybody else's. But as you say, it is quite annoying to having to keep adjusting the volume control all the time. Perhaps Tom could add some sort of simple level meter on his open tuner or something. That might be a simple solution, so that you could see what sort of level you were. But anyway, okay, I think that's about enough from me, I think, and so I'm going to make this one my final and pass it round to Leon, ZS1 Mike G4 IMO.
Sorry, I've missed the pad with the mouse again. Okay, thanks there, Nick. Yes, yeah, any form of level meter I think is fine. Okay, and point taken there, Michael, about the ppm versus the view meter. We never had a meter like you have there in the SABC. That goes from 1 to 7. Never seen one in my life. We used to call these ppms, but I quickly googled it and you're quite right. It is actually a view meter. It's got the same dynamics, you know, it's very fast up and then the slow decay. So this is what I've been using, and what I'll use here. Yes, you're right about the aircraft and the guys with their own headsets. That's one of the major problems. And nowadays it's even more complex because the radios, you get small radios which are for gliders and power gliders, and then you get the standard radios which are for normal all metal power planes. And the standard there is still for a carbon microphone. Well, nobody uses carbon microphones anymore, but they like to call it a standard microphone nowadays. So it's normally a dynamic microphone with a preamp, or the latest ones is an electret condenser microphone with a little amplifier, which again brings it up to the same level as a carbon mic. So the bias is still 8 volts and coming from the microphone socket and so on. But the gliders, being most of them are German, they always use dynamic microphones straight. And the radios for gliders, the modern ones, are auto-sensing. They will sense, okay, it's a dynamic mic, there's hardly any DC resistance, and then they'll switch off the bias and up the gain. Right, that's dynamic. Or if they don't see such a low impedance, low DC resistance, they say, oh no, it's an electret, so they switch to condenser. But the output of a condenser microphone is not nearly as high as that of a carbon microphone. So now they use those headsets in a power plane, and then the audio is low. Or they come with a proper power plane headset and they plug it into a glider, and then it's completely overmodulated. So yeah, it's a big mess. And if you can't prove it to them, they don't believe you. So yeah, that's what I want to use this for. Yes, we have to get the monitoring from the receiving side. Doing it on the transmitting side is too complicated, as I say, because there's so many different places where you can alter the levels on our transmitting system here in the DATV. So, as I say, for me the easiest at the moment is when you start up Minitune, the audio level bar graph is always in the middle, so that will always be the same. It's at 50%. And if you then calibrate your thing on that and don't change anything, it should be relatively accurate. Once you've calibrated it, I'll put an audio generator and a scope on the receiving side, put generator on the PC side, and crank it up until it starts to clip, and turn it back a little bit and say, okay, that is 100% mod, and I'll calibrate my meter to 100% then, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, okay, I'm also going. I see Gary is gone. So I give it to Dave. M5 TXJ for the group ZS. One mic going QRT, but I will be listening and watching.
And here we are again with audio. Oh, it's good that this pressing buttons, it sorts the audio out for me and everything. It's great. Yeah. Very little back from me again. Ed, the copper tape. I might be teaching my grandmother to suck eggs, as we say in the UK. But if that was me, I would remove the adhesive with something like acetone or IPA, and then anneal the tape. Heat it to its sort of a dull red, let it cool down, and then it would be very soft, and it would fill any imperfections, and you'd get the best heat transfer using the tape. Yeah. Guilty as charged regarding gliders and audio, Leon. It's a while since I've been gliding, but yeah, I've got an old handheld airband transceiver that I used to use, and when I was at the gliding club in the car, I've got a 706. ICOM 706, or I had at the time, and I'd widebanded that so I could listen in, and it would give about half a watt on airband AM. Very naughty, but handy when hangering all the gliders. So that's that. And Michael, we must talk at length. I used to do Motor News BTRDA events in the 80s. I navigated in all kinds of things. Hall Bay Hunter, Avenger Tiger, and yeah, Ford shopping trolleys. I don't know the love of escorts. They handle horribly. Yeah, dire. You've got to put 4-link kits and Panhard rods and all kinds of things, Bilsteins and World Cup cross members, and to make them handle anything like. They're awful handling things. I also drove a bit. I'd a Bill Blydenstein 1256 Vauxhall Chevette, and people used to laugh at this 1256 Vauxhall Viva engine thing. But it had had a lot of work done on it. The exhaust port, centre exhaust port, because it was 3 exhaust ports, had been machined and a splitter plate put in, so it had a 4-branch manifold, it had a 45 Delorto carburettor, big valve head, high lift cam, all that kind of thing. It did 6 miles to the gallon on 4-star and avgas 50-50 mix, and on the rev limiter it was doing 8,400 RPM and 147 miles an hour from a 1256 Vauxhall Viva engine, and it handled beautifully. If dealer team Vauxhall had been able to plough the millions and millions into Chevettes that Ford were able to pump into Escorts, it would have been a whole different story, I'm sure. Anyway, we must talk about that at a later date. And right, nice to see everybody. Hopefully I'll be about next weekend. Yeah, I've got an AGM on the Saturday, but I think I'll be about on the Sunday. Take care everybody. 73, and we'll catch you further down the log. M5TXJ, enjoying his numeric keypad control. Bye for now all.
Well, so we've got audio, well, okay, Gary, you've dumped me in it. I've never closed a net. Please don't ask me to ever run one day. So it's my turn. But before I do that, Martin, PPM, despite what others think, it used to stand for peak program meter. And that's before they invented parts per million. Okay. Because they didn't have digital at that time, as far as I know. What was only just a couple of comments I've got to stick on the receiver. Oh yeah, if you want to measure your receive, with an external meter, well, put it on your receiver, your own receiver. You've got an audio output from your receiver somewhere, preferably before any volume control. But that's the way to do it. And the way to line everything up is tone, 1,000 cycle tone. That's that's how it's done. I appreciate that it's more complicated with OBS if you're coming out of an analog output. If you were coming out of a digital output, I think you'd find that it was preset at max anyhow. PPMs in South Africa? No, probably not. Actually, that meter looks really good, and if it's got a slow decay time, then it's obviously not the kind of VU meter I'm familiar with. So that was probably good, but nevertheless, it's a linear scale, and the PPM is a logarithmic scale. Yeah, Ford. Yeah, the works team, Ford, won more rallies than anyone else, I think, at the time. And yeah, they poured billions into it, literally, and then they pulled out completely. But those were the days. It was fun, expensive but fun. Okay, I've asked Matt if he wanted to come in right at the end, but he declines. He's rebuilding his workshop, so it's down to me now to close the net. So many thanks to Gary for organising this, and to Martin, Ed, Phil, Mike, Nick, Leon, Dave, and yours truly for joining in. It's been a pleasure, interesting as always. So I will now officially close down the net. If anybody wants to come on after, of course, they're very welcome to do. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the worldwide net. signing off.
Michael, I owe an apology to Phil, Mike Zero Papa India Tango. He was the one that gave me opportunity to come back with audio, and I just skipped his turn. That's unforgivable. I'm really sorry, Phil, if you're still there. Sorry, my weak brain. So I'll pass to Phil if he's still there. Mike Zero Papa India Tango. It seems someone else would like to add something. Please wait until Phil's turn. If he's still there, not sure. But I apologize, Phil. Mike Zero Papa India Tango, please go ahead from Papa Yankee to Radio November. Yeah, now I lost my TX. Hold on a second. Yeah, weak brain.
That's okay, yeah. Fully understand. We've all been there, all done it. Let's kill the audio. My end. Yeah, I got a few comments. Nick was asking about the key changes on the Lorenz machine. Because it's an additive cipher, and that's all based on how an additive cipher works and its weakness. Anyhow, so that's enough of that. No, Leon, noise gate. I don't have a noise gate on this